What is up, Goat World? It's me, your boy JDZ, and I'm back at you with another Goat Format video. The Goat Format War League has finally made it to the playoffs, and here we go. We're gonna bring you guys some playoff predictions, playoff analysis, playoff power rankings coming to you live and direct. I have none other than GFC champion and co-war chief, Mr. Indoors, is in the building, coming all the way from UK to come and give you guys some analysis today. How you feeling today, my good friend and co-chief Indoors?
Yeah, feeling great. Ready to make some horrible takes and get shit on in the chat later on.
This is a dangerous job. Everyone asks us to do this. We make this, and then it never turns out the way that you think it would be. But guess what? All these teams, they did what they needed to do. They played hard, and they made it to the promised land of the postseason, and they have a chance to win the championship. But there are some teams that didn't get a chance to do that. So we're going to take a little bit of time to pay some respects to our fallen troops. So we'll do that now in dedication. Shout out to all the fallen.
In the arms of the angel, fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room.
Man, what a great season. Maybe a comeback next season and you can be in the playoffs. But here we are. So how we're going to do this, we're just going to look at the bracket really quick indoors. So here is the bracket to the 2023 Goat Format War League Season 2 playoffs. Here are the teams that have a chance to etch their name in history as champions. So just a real quick analysis, looking top to bottom, are there any teams in the seedings that surprise you that when you look at it in our original power ranking, some of these teams, I just knew that they were going to be here. It was a pretty much open and shut case. But are there any surprises here that kind of jump off?
Yeah, I mean, like when we did the power rankings, obviously, like there was some stuff that we weren't totally sure. Like, someone like GCI, like we weren't totally sure, how like committed they were going to be to it, how seriously they were going to take it. But there's maybe some surprises like initially from when we first did it, but then obviously we've been watching these guys play like week in and week out. So I think everyone here deserves to be here. And there were a lot of people that either missed the playoffs by like they were super close, they bubbled out, or like even like Safari who had to win this last game to make it in. There are a couple of people like that where people are like, oh, they might not make it into playoffs, and I was like, what? Like I've been watching them like all season, and they've been like killing it, and I was like, when did they even lose?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like super surprised. I don't think with anyone. I think everyone's really strong. Being top 8 out of what do we have?
27 teams. There were 27
teams.
teams showed up, and this is the top 8. And like you said, it was it was a photo finish. It was like literally the very last game of the very last week determined teams going home versus team going on. So I think it just showed that how successful and strong this league was, and how unpredictable things can be, because you think you have it all figured out, and then boom, you're eliminated. So with that, the number 4 seed ended up being our returning champions, or our season 1 champions, the Rampage HK. Rampage HK got paired up with Powerhouse Overdose. So this is going to be the 4 seed is going to be playing against Overdose in the week 1 of the playoffs. Okay, so Rampage HK, this is gonna be a fight, man. This is gonna be a dog fight. This is gonna be an absolute slobber knocker, with Rampage HK taking that 4th seed, led by Captain Ivan Rosito. I know a lot of duelists had in their mind that Ivan Rosito is a great player, but a lot of people question his leadership as a captain. But I believe that he took some slack for really filling out that roster. Hired Michele Samino, brought in fresh IRL, brought in beast mode, got the Saavedra brothers back on track, and now this team is looking pretty stacked. Tell me about this Rampage HK team, and what do you think their chances might be going forward?
Like you said, Ivan really stepped up as a captain. Maybe people weren't expecting that. And when was it they sort of turned it around? It's sort of like the first couple of weeks of free agency, maybe. But the first few weeks they were off to a really shaky start, and they were losing some matchups you weren't expecting them to. I mean, you only have to look at SDL's record, who SDL's super strong player, and somebody who we talked about when we were doing the initial power ranking, saying these are like the really heavy hitters of teams that are going to get you a lot of points. And he's had like a tough season. And yeah, Ivan came across from, I believe he was originally on OD, so
He
there's a bit
was,
of
yeah.
a grudge match, or almost. I'm sure there's no bad blood, but let's hype it up and pretend that there is some bad blood. Um, yeah, yeah, I think really, like you said, brought in some great players in Samino and Fresh IRL, and then Ivan himself, MVP candidate almost, wasn't he? He was
Yeah,
in the
he
top
lost. He
three, I
lost. He
believe.
lost the MVP race by like 0.5% of a. It
Right,
was
yeah, yeah,
so tight. That
yeah.
was such a tight race, and he just so happened to lose that. 11-2 in this league is insanity. But then we're gonna switch up. Let's check out the overdose side of this. So we said all those things about the HK unit, but then you look at this overdose roster, and you're like, how in the hell did this unit not make it to where they're in the top four seedings, making their own picks? This team should have been a number one seed coming into this league. You got Alvarado, you got James Ark, you got Ludovico Rizzo. That's a power three. You got Dale, you got guys. This team is insanely stacked, and the fact that they didn't make it into one of the top seedings of the playoffs is insane to me. And now they're paired up with HK in the first round. This could easily be a championship round in any other league or any other time, but it's not. This is round one of the playoffs. Tell me about this squad and what their chances are to beat HK going into the first week of this playoff.
Yeah, I mean their performance in the season aside, that like they had a really good performance.
Mm.
I'm not sure what their end record was. Were they like 9-4?
Yeah, I think they were 9-4. 9-4.
9-4, which is really impressive. And like we said, every team in the top eight has to have a really impressive record to get here. Um, Obviously, had some trouble over the season with some matchups in the week. I know there's been this back and forth like which conference is harder, red or blue. Look, you're looking at the roster. You've got Ant, who's just a phenomenal player, and just will always pull it out the bag. He plays. The thing about this team here, when you're looking at the HK team, you've got your warrior players, which is like SDL and Krebs, but even they're now, shifting over to turbo, and then the rest of the roster is just all turbo players.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm looking at the OD roster, how do you prep for this? You
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to bring in Uber on his like reasoning gate stuff. I mean, Dale's sort of like a known entity on control, but he sometimes switches up to turbo.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at a team and you're thinking, man, is Dale even going to make their six? Like, that's scary. Like you're looking at Overdose, like, well, I don't want to be facing these guys.
I
And like I
really,
said,
I really don't. I think
and
this round one is going. This exact match is going to be the round one to see. Everyone's going to be tuning in to
yeah,
check out what this is going to be about. So we got to do it though. We have to sit here and we have to make a pick. This is where the metal meets the meat. You got to make a pick. And who do you think is going to win this round and why? I'm throwing it to you first before I make my pick.
sure, sure. Okay. I'm going to stick with Overdose. I said when we did the power rankings, I think they're the best team in the league. I still think they're the best team in the league. I think just the way that they can play any decks, these really high standards. Yeah, I just can't bet against them. HK are strong, and it's sort of unlucky that they've met up with OD this early in the
Mm-hmm.
competition, but I'm going with OD.
I think you know what, I would tend to agree with you, and it's for different reasons. Looking at these rosters, I think it's a lot closer than you're making it out to be, in my opinion. I think Ivan can match up with Alvarado any day of the week. I think Michele Samino can match up with James Ark or Ludovico Rizzo any day of the week. I think Fresh IRL can match up with James Ark or Ludovico Rizzo any day of the week. I think SDL Killer is among the best. I think Krebs is among the best players. But this is a six. This is a six-person thing. This is a six-person thing, and everyone is going to have to admit defeat. And when you get to that fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth position, I don't think Rampage HK can keep up with Overdose's fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth position. So as these duelists, you also got to remember Krebs. He's kind of aloof sometimes. Krebs comes and goes. So is he going to be ready to play? Is he going to be there? Are they going to have to sub in? I haven't seen Birdman. I don't know where Birdman's at or what he's been doing. Has he been dueling? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So if you're depending on Birdman to come in and do quality minutes against Ale 1997, that's something that HK is going to have to worry about. So I think for those reasons, I think Overdose is going to it's going to be hard. And if HK can pull it off, I don't think it'll be an upset. But I think Overdose is going to achieve victory and move on into the second round. But prove me wrong. I like to be wrong. Never know. No kiss of death, but that's how it is. All right. All right. No kiss of death. No kiss of death. All right. Moving on. The next match we're going to talk about is our third seed. We have Odd Eye playing against Safari Zone. Safari Zone was all but dead to rights. Walking home, sad faces all around, and by the grace of some almighty being, they eked their way into the playoffs as the third seed of the Blue Conference. All right, so tell me about these two dueling teams, and what do you think about their season that they had indoor?
I was an early believer in Odd Eye. When we got those original rankings, we got a lot of stick in the chat saying, well, we're rating these, K-pop team, these just random guys that have come out of nowhere, like we're rating them better than, Rampage or like all these other teams. But look, they had an amazing season. Kuru has done Kuru 6-1, insane season, just missing out on MVP stuff for activity requirements really. And the two Ever and Haxel, both originally from a team that were going to join called Excelsior, but didn't in the end. And both just insanely strong. I think they play current.
Mm-hmm.
They've got really great Yu-Gi-Oh brains. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Being told that you have a good Yu-Gi-Oh brain, but take it or leave it. Yeah, and I think these guys are just really solid players. And didn't surprise me at all. And I think they've got a good shot.
And then you can't miss the elephant in the room. They uploaded their roster. They downloaded some Don't Copy and Jace. They brought them in from the fledgling Enraged Pandas. I thought that was a huge disappointment. I'm not gonna lie. The Enraged Panda situation was a big disappointment in my book. But they were able to cultivate Don't Copy and Jace, bolstering their roster even stronger, bringing on two fantastic players to push into the postseason. And they've been doing great for them. So that's gonna be tough. I think that's gonna be tough. But we got Safari as well. Safari Zone is in the building, like I said, barely making it, powered by the MVP Lucas the Heretic. What a fantastic season this duel has had. Oh my goodness, they got AJT BLS, who kind of came out super duper slow, okay, as he did last season. He is just slow in the regular season, but he somehow made it back to the postseason. That's where this duelist really shines. Mercenary V, Rabid, Soulmaster Matt, West 95, and JD9. What do you tell me about this Safari team, and what do you think their chances are of beating that Odd Eye team that you spoke so highly about?
Obviously, another elephant in the room here is you're looking at everyone's individual records here, and you're a bit like, okay, this doesn't look like a necessarily a playoff team. And then obviously you see Lucas, who's carried their season. I didn't think it's wrong to say that, and I think a lot of the boys on Safari would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But and this is a pretty sizable but here. You have AJT BLS, playoff, Iron Man. In these formats where it's just him and he can solo a whole team, he just does it. And sometimes there's just no stopping him. He just steamrolls absolutely everyone on the opposite team. But I'm not like, I'm not looking at this thinking, oh god, this is so lopsided. Odd Eye did so much better in the season. I'm looking at this thinking AJT's in his element, Lucas is in his element, Marcus has played in really high pressure situations before.
Mm-hmm.
This is a scary team for the other teams to have to deal with in these playoffs.
All right, but now we got to do it. Kiss of death time. Who are we picking? Who are you picking to win this round to move on to round 2 of the goatformat World League playoff?
Yeah, as much as I love Odd Eye, as much as I'm glad that they proved everyone wrong, I'm 100% all the way believing in playoff AJT BLS. There's nobody that can stop him. He's gonna solo the whole team if he has to. He's gonna get them over the line.
You're buying Safari Zone.
I'm buying the stocks. I'm buying Safari Zone stocks.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Yeah. I want to agree with you. I love AJTBS. I love Lucas the Heretic. I love what Safari Zone is doing. But I think that Odd Eye is the team of destiny this season. I think they have something to prove. I think everyone I disagree with you last time. I thought that they were a meme. I thought they were a joke. I didn't think that they were as good as they are. I thought Cameron was going to come in here BSing. I thought Kura was going to come in here BSing. I thought of all these no-name people, I don't know who they are. They're going to come in and get absolutely rail blasted. But guess what? They managed to have a fantastic season, and I can't pick against them. I think Odd Eye takes out Safari Zone, and I think they're going to do it. Not easy, because Lucas is going to take out some bodies, but I think Odd Eye is going to be on the winning end of this match. And I could be wrong, but again, kiss of death, take it how you want to take it. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I will say just quickly that if if Odd Eye manages to take out Lucas and AJT in the first wave,
Mm.
then I don't, Power Safari's own winning basically.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Those waves, like I said, every duelist must admit defeat in order to lose this playoff system that we have here. So if you can get Lucas the Heretic down early, you might stand a chance. If it's wave 4, wave 5, and Lucas the Heretic is still alive, you need to reconsider your approach to the game. All right, so now that you need to reconsider some of your options. All right, so here we go. Here we go. We're moving on. We got the next one. This is the number 2 seed. The number 2 seed selected the worst generation as their pairing, and that is the 400s versus the worst generation. Oh my goodness, tell me about these teams. Tell me about these dueling teams. There's a lot to say about the 400s. There's a lot to say about the worst generation. Both of these, this in our playoffs. This is our only rematch that we had. These these teams played week 1. 400s did get the better of them in the first week of the Go Format War League dueling season, and now they're matched up again in the first round of the playoffs. 2 red teams, both from the red conference. Tell me about these duelists and tell me about these teams. What do you think about their chances of making it to the next round?
So I'll do the British pronunciation, the 400s. I think they're WGM. Obviously, Root was popping off in chat, really happy to make playoffs. Got something to prove from last year. They took an early exit. Can't remember who that was to.
I can't either. I have no clue.
Maybe we can edit that in later. Can't remember.
I have no knowledge of who put them out of the playoffs first round last time.
Yeah, got cooked last year. Luckily, they don't have to worry about that this season because the team that cooked them didn't make the playoffs. But yeah, look, I mean, they have great players. Zoidberg coming into his own. Really, he's finished last season really well, and this season he's just hit the ground running. Completely destroyed everyone in game 5s. FDS feeling himself again on control. Hating the fact that he's doing so well. Hating the fact that he's got to show off every week, but doing well for the team nonetheless. And Lucas G had a rough season, but he's somebody who I could imagine coming into the playoffs and doing a bit of business. This is a strong team, man. This is a really strong team, and I'm looking forward to seeing playoff WGM again.
Yeah, that is something that people aren't factoring in. The drive and determination of the captain of this team is something that is going to push them over. Like you said, I believe he's literally dragging this team to success at this point. Because it's been incredible. Like seeing some of the clutch out matches they had, seeing Zoidberg and FDS. I'm so impressed with their dueling season that they've had. They've been literally carrying some of these teams through victory in some very tight game 5 situations, game 4 clutch wins, and that's what it's going to take if you want to do well in these playoffs. You got to be composed, you got to be there before, you got to have the drive motivation. But I do question some of the depth that they're going to be able to have, because Pro Wait, he is currently suspended right now due to some infractions. You got Mark MPS. I don't know where his head's at right now because he took some couple weeks off. You got Lucas G, he took some time off. I don't know if they're going to be mentally ready to come out here and play some Ghosts. This is a long season. It's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of these people might not have time to continue to do this all the time. Having that depth is going to be quite important in these events. But we're going to shift over to worst gen. What do you think about these guys? What do you think about their chances of pulling the upset and taking the 400s out of there?
I think to be fair to Bones, and this is a Bones organization, or the organization formerly known as Bones, whatever we're going to call them.
Yeah.
They made the playoffs last season, finished second, and then even this year we were kind of sleeping on them in the original power rankings, but they prove everyone wrong. Soars doing back-to-back amazing seasons, like 70% win rate. And then you've got Grumple coming out of nowhere with the 7-1. Like, who was expecting that? It's like they've got solid players. The thing I would worry about with this team is, and actually compared when we're looking at the 400s team as well, they don't have huge depth. Like the 400s, a lot of their players are out on loan. LRG, a lot of those players are out on loan. You're saying about Mark and Lucas, who haven't been playing so much and having to come back in, so they don't have that depth that they maybe would want. And I kind of think the same of Worst Generation here. They've got some real talent in like Soars and Grumple, Even Night Moose has had a rough season, but he's a really good player. And JCVD, they have got that talent, but this is, if these guys were going up against like OD, it would be a really easy call, and you'd say, OD take it every time. But props to them. They made playoffs again, and they're a strong team. They're a strong team, and obviously, like whatever they're doing it right.
All right, but you know what time it is. You got to pick. Now you got to pick who's winning. I need to know. This is gonna live forever. Everybody's gonna watch this. They're gonna know who you're picking to win
Yeah,
this
yeah.
to win this round.
As much as I would love to see 400s go out of the first round again and to eternally clown on WGM for that, I think that 400s are going to win.
You think the four? Okay.
So if they do win, then I was right, and that feels good. And if they lose, then that's awesome, and I'll be there hating. I'll be ready on the sidelines waiting. I'm waiting for the slip up so I can hate. So
Waiting
make
to
it
hate.
happen.
Waiting to hate is next level hate. Okay, that's and hating with anticipation is great.
Absolutely.
I can see again. This is going to be a really tight one. A lot of people might think the 400 is going to come in there and just absolutely steamroll the worst generation. I don't see it. I think it's going to be really, really tight. I think it's going to come down to a single match. It might even be like a 1-versus-1 kind of situation where it's going to be. I think it's going to be that close, and I think it'd be a coin toss. But you pick 400s. I'm picking worst generation just so I can add some added motivation to these 400 members. Because like I stated, man, I just don't see the depth. But I think you gotta have 6 duelists showing up every week. And with pro weight being out, I say if pro weight maybe wasn't suspended, I feel a lot more inclined to lean more to the 400s. But I'm going to pick the worst generation just because, you know what I'm saying? I want to add some motivation to the 400s, and I also want to see what these worst generations doing because I want to keep picking against them. Every time I pick against them, they always prove me wrong. Like I said, they made it all the way to the second place last year. They made it they made a really deep run last season, and or second seed, excuse me. I don't want to do that again. So we're gonna pick worst generation, and we're gonna see exactly how it goes. I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. All right, finally coming to your number one seed, the number one seed of the season 2 of the GOAT Format War League. The number one seed was Team Solitaire, and they're playing against GOAT Community Italia, the dueling team. Okay, first off, who called Solitaire being the number one seed coming into these playoffs? Whoever would have predicted that? What are the chances of that happening? Like I said, as you know, go back and watch any of the videos I've made about the War League. Anytime I'm talking about anything of War League and I mention Solitaire, I'm like, hey, this team is really, really good. If they just showed up and they just motivated and they're focused and they actually take it seriously, they could be the best team because I believe in them that much. And sure enough, this season, I believe they did that. And they came in clutch and they got the number one seed in the number one overall seed. And they picked Go Community Italia. So tell us about that. Why did they pick this team? And what about this matchup? What about these two teams jumps off the page at you before we go into it?
Yeah, I was actually really surprised to see this as the first pick. So and one of the features of Solitaire this season have been they do like this prep for whoever they're facing. Sometimes all 5 of their players will show up with the same deck.
Mm-hmm.
So they've obviously looked at the stats of what GCI have been playing and stuff like that, and thought this is the team that we're going to bring. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 5 of the same deck. And yeah, props to Solitaire finishing first in their conference, did really well. They had the kind of season that if you told a bunch of people, oh yeah, these current Yu-Gi-Oh players came and they just came into GOAT format and they just stomped everyone and they were just really good. And obviously, that's what you'd sort of expect. But can't forget that they tried to do that last season and sort of fell on their face and finished, ended up in the Pride Cup. But this season they locked in. GOAT has had an insane season, and not just in the War League, just in GOAT in general.
Mm-hmm.
Necro had an insane season. Flocky had an insane season. They've all performed really well, and they deserve to be number one. And yeah, I'm interested to see how they perform in the playoffs because playoffs is slightly different to league. There's like a little bit more pressure, the format of it all. I wouldn't write off whoever's facing them just because they were number one seed.
And they did reactivate old Kenpachi over there, aka Nicey, is still on the roster, sitting at 0-0. Maybe they can fire that duelist back up and get him into
Oh,
the.
if Nicey plays, it's over. He's the play. He's like an AJT level playoff machine.
Okay,
Yeah.
but speaking of sleeper agents, we got Goat Community Italia winning. We'll call it the Italian Cup, as proving themselves to be the number one Italian team. There was a lot of Italian teams showing up to the Goat Format World. We had Made in Heaven. We have Goat Format Latina. We had CC Machine Gun. At Goat Community Italia, it's a lot. Several Italian teams, and they proved to be the number one Italian team by making it to the postseason. They got in by beating my team. You know what I'm saying? So that's just good for them. Good for them. We really tried to. We came out with everything we got. So tell us about this team. I'm a big fan of Italy. I'm a big fan of Go Format in Italy. Tell me your thoughts about this team before we make a pick.
This is kind of interesting because like you're looking at the records, and the only one that stands out is Juve, obviously with 9-3, and that's like a MVP contention sort of finish. And everyone else has sort of got these like really odd scores, and like this is just like part of the war format. Like if you win your games when you need to win them, then you go through the week, and maybe you take 2 losses every week, but as long as you're winning that third game, you're making it through. And maybe this is why Solly are looking at it, and they picked them first because they thought they've got this one insane player from the stats wise. They've got this one insane player. I always say don't sleep on Italians, and I'm gonna say that now. Don't sleep on the Italians. They're strong, and they bring weird decks. There's something about the Italians. They bring the weird decks. Like
They keep you guessing. They keep you on your toes. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to figure it out.
absolutely.
And they also, like, speaking of sleeper cells, they have that Mr. Man sitting in that 8th position, sitting at that 0-0. And I'm a huge fanboy for some Mr. Man sitting. I think he's one of the best players in our entire game, and I've said that on record several times. And he hasn't played this season. He's still on the roster, so they could tap into some Mr. Man, show up and get some quality buckets coming in off the bench. But you absolutely do not know. But looking at this Solitaire roster and looking at this GCI roster, tell me who you think is going to win the round 1 Solitaire Go Community Italia battle.
I'm going to go with Solitaire. I just think Goat has been playing too well. He's sort of like similar levels could like solo an entire team. And Necro is really strong, and Flocky's been having a really good season. I just think that some of the maybe some of the deck choices that GCI will bring, and some of their individual performances over the season haven't been as good. Like in these matchups, where it's like really razor thin margins, I think Solly are gonna bring this one over the line. I'm not gonna say comfortably, but I think Solly win for sure.
Okay. You know what? I want to disagree just for the sake of the program. We can't pick the same picks, obviously, but I have to roll with Solly, man. I've been riding with Solly this whole time. I've been rolling with Solly this whole time. I think Solly can go ahead and take out Go Community Italia. Like I said, this is Go Format. This is Yu-Gi-Oh. Nothing is guaranteed. Everything is up in flux, especially when you can PGD your way out of anything. So anything can happen. Upsets galore. The number 1 seed losing to the number 8 seed would be a great upset. But I've been riding with Solly. I believe in what they got going on. I like that team, and I think they can take out GCI and move on to the second round of the GOAT Format War League playoffs. All right, so here it is. Those are our picks. Those are our thoughts. Make sure you like this video, comment, get into the comment section. Tell us what your picks might be. Tell us about your favorite team and your dueling season if you are participating. If you want to participate in the next season of the GOAT Format War League, make sure you stay tuned. It should be starting sometime in May after the playoffs have concluded. All right, so I believe we picked a Solitaire to win. There's a mixed bag, 400 Worst Generation, but maybe 400 can win. We got Odd Eye versus Far Zone. We mixed on that one as well, but I think we both believe Overdose might take this one. So again, tell us what your picks are. Make sure you get into the comments, like the video, and do all that. If you want to see all these duels as they're happening live, make sure you get into the GOAT Format War League Discord, put the Filmstar tag on, and you can get access to all those duels as they're happening. And then you can be abreast to the latest War League, the latest War League activity. The round of the playoffs will start Wednesday. Wednesday is when those pairings are going to be released. All right. Okay, cool. I think this was nice indoors. Thank you for coming out here, man, and doing this. All right. Anything you want to say? Any closing remarks before we cut this bad boy on off?
Please flame me in the chat for all my predictions. Please let me know if I hurt your feelings. I'm really sorry if I did. No, I really strive to be everyone's favorite war chief. So if I made anyone upset, I truly.
And I think you are. You are the judicial council, and you're the primary war chief, man. You can have it. You're the guy. You're the guy. All right, make sure you let.
Yeah.
It's all indoors, okay? So make sure you get on indoors and let him know how bad he sucks, and not me, okay? This is not me. All right, but that's all I got. Hey, thank you all so much for watching. As always, I'm JDZ. I play Ghosts. To the next time. Shout out to all the real ones. Salute to the OGs. Peace.
This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.